You were born with a gift. You may not have believed that, but I'm going to prove it to you today. I published something this morning and it said, nothing has gone wrong in your life or the world. And I knew that, and so that's what I wanted to give you. And as you look at that particular message, it's on my page, anyadvicefortoday.com, and it came all through Wilhelm from many, many years. And when you read it, when you go through each one, you will see how you have such control over your life. You will start to discover who you are. You will start to feel your importance. And then I did something else. I found something else for you to listen to, and it's called How You Can Plan the Next Chapter of Your Life. And that was held on October the 2nd of 2021. But if you listen to it today, it'll make much more sense to you and you will be able to accept more of yourself because the only challenge that we will ever have in life is accepting who we are, who were born to become. And then everyone was born to become something. But it might take you a little while to accept that as it did for me because it could be really surprising. And that's exactly what happened for me. But I'm saying this because I want you to know what is possible. You can accomplish anything. And I know that is true. And this work that I'm going to give you now is from Wilhelm, and it can transform your life and it could also transform our world. That was the part that was really uncomfortable for me. How could I have received this to then cause something to occur in the world? But see, the thing is, you have the same thing. It's all of us, but it's individual and it is what is unique within you. And as you move through these things, you will begin to see that. Then also, I'm doing a channeling session tomorrow, and it is about us coming to this place of accepting who we are. And I know that every single person born has this incredible gift within them. And if they were to accept that, our world would be quite different because it's all energetic, you see. You change in your consciousness, and that happens over time. That happens with us individually, but it also occurs in our world. And as you listen to that recording, you will understand what I'm talking about. And if you come tomorrow to the channeling session, you'll have even more. But I am telling you that you were born with this gift, and it's just waiting to be revealed and owned by you. That's all that ever happens. See you soon. Okay, I am beginning the recording now. And as I said, I'm going to share a message that on the screen that they wanted us all to see today. And then also before I came on, and I will remember this, they led me to a video from somewhere else that you're all supposed to listen to because it will make all of this make even more sense. And because the shock of it to surprise you will get you to believe a little bit more. Okay. We are again very pleased that you each decided to show up here today, and we are happy to meet you at this point in your life. And what we say to you all the time is that you did not get here accidentally. We always say that in the beginning because you think that that is what has occurred in your lives, but it is not. You have been so directed and guided every ounce, every step of the way, and this is going to allow you to believe a bit more of that. As we began these talks, we told you that what we were doing, our intent was just to encourage more of you to believe in yourselves. That's really what it is. That's the only reason we're doing this. And what we're doing it now because it's an important time for you to do this because it's when you intended to awaken to who you are. That is what is happening now. That's why it's been so chaotic for you. But you're going to understand what an incredible mission you set for yourself and how it's starting to unfold now. And you're going to begin to understand it. The message that you see on the screen is from 2012. Those of you who were here previously, or if you've listened to the recordings, you know that we led Roger back to writings that he just found from 2012 that were separated. And we did that intentionally. We did that because we wanted him to find them now, because it will make more sense to all of you. Then we told him the other day, because this is a part of all of this and what you're all coming to now and why you're seeing that message on the screen. We told him the other day, that is the book you are to write now. And he's saying, no, that couldn't possibly have happened. We told him, we gave you everything you needed to know in 2012. You just figure it out later and you just come to understand it. But he said, no, that could not be possible. That's what he said. That's why we have the message on the board. See, because that's what many of you have said. You will look at what isn't possible instead of is this possible? Could this have possibly happened? Could this have possibly occurred? Could I have possibly been born for a really good reason? And the answer is always yes. And the answer is yes for each and every one of you. But you just show up at different places at different times so that you start to understand that. And one of those times is now. You're here because you directed yourself to be here, because you wanted to hear this. It is not us. It's not Roger. You did that. You have never ended up in an accidental place. Now, we will say that there are times where you pretended you didn't do that and you didn't recognize it and you didn't know where you were and you were confused. And as we also said, we used Roger's entire life to show you how you have done that. We began very early on when we first began communicating with him and bringing in the information. The very first message that we gave to you was from 1989, where we showed you, where each of you had this going on, where you feared your power. You feared what might be within you. But now is the time that you are meant to develop that and you're meant to own that. And a lot of you have been doing it. And you've been wondering, why am I feeling motivated now? Why am I moving into new areas? Why am I feeling like I want to do something different? Because you planned this a long time ago and you plan to be here right now. And you just don't believe that. And this is why we did this with Roger, to show, to be the example for each of you. You're here for a really wonderful reason, and it is to shift your world. That is why it's so big. We've told you that this was the biggest lifetime that you have ever experienced. Now, we know that many of you do not believe in past lives or any of that. It doesn't matter, because all you have to do is use your life now. It's the same. That's why we did this, to show you that you just keep repeating things until you get what you meant to get this lifetime. Now, we gave you something the other day. We're going to begin with it now because it has two elements to it, but we're going to explain one. We gave you a little mysterious thing the other day in our writings. If you have not read our writings on the website, anyadvicefortoday.com, you should, and this will make sense because we referred to many of the messages there because we want to show you how we've given you everything. It is all there. But that you just assimilate it at different times. You will use it when it is right in your life. Now, we're going to give you some big picture stuff here. You each have existed. You're eternal beings. You're spiritual eternal beings, eternal. But you don't have any memory of that because if you did, it wouldn't be useful for you now. If you remembered everything about who you were and all the power that you had, the gifts, the talents, if you remembered all of it, there would be nothing for you to do now. There would be nothing for you to develop, and your world would not evolve. We want you to hear that. You are responsible for the evolution of your world. And the more of you that we can get to believe and accept that responsibility, you will create a different world than what you're seeing right now. And many of you are not paying attention to the world that you're seeing right now, because if you were, you would step up to being you a lot quicker and more. That's what would happen. So the big picture stuff again, you've been here many times, and each time you come, you assume a different role. Each of you here now, and each of you who will hear this later, have assumed the role relative to what we are saying, but you've done it in different ways. You've just done it in different manners. You've done different careers and different occupations. You've all done it, but you come here so that you understand the particular path that you are on this time. And we keep saying that because we have to keep saying that if you start to judge what you're seeing out there, it's going to be really challenging, because what you will see is a lot of discord. You're going to see more chaos arising in your world that you are meant to heal, that you are meant to bring together. It's you, each of you. We said that you are unique and the same. We said that a few days ago, and we said we would explain it today. And the reason we said that is because each of you here, you can look at yourselves in this room even, and those who will come later, you all look different. You all look different because you've had different evolutionary journeys, different evolutionary paths, but you are the same, and that you each have these dreams and desires that you wanted to fulfill. And this time you each wanted to do something that would cause you to move beyond your blockages, to move beyond your limitations, to move beyond your self-doubt, to move beyond your fear, all of those things. That's what you wanted to do. And that's why you've been experiencing them recently, so that you would up level and move through them. And all we're doing is helping by giving you remembrances, because you will start to remember. Some of you have had that. Sometimes you call it your deja vu, because that's what you need. You human use terms that put it into physical terms. Because you have difficulty accepting who you are. So many of our messages of late, we've said that we're giving you things in smaller doses because you have trouble accepting them. And we used Roger as a perfect example. Now, when we told him, in 1987, this is why we said many of you will hear something today that will awaken you to who you are and what you've been doing and how you've been holding back. We put that up there yesterday as well, how you've been holding back in some way. You would have to, you see. There would be no other reason for you to be here. You have to recognize that there is more for you to assimilate, to bring into your world, into your life. Otherwise, there would be no purpose for your life experience. And when you move into that new portion, you will experience some fear, some trepidation, uncertainty, and that is dependent on how you have handled or related to the unknown in your life. And that, again, is far beyond this lifetime. This is the part that's really difficult for many of you. You are carrying things now that you have no awareness of, no conscious awareness of in this life, because they came from your ancestors, from your parents, from whoever, that all of that, from your countries even, from your ideologies. They all come together for you, and you've always been on that path. But this time, this lifetime, there were very specific things that you wanted to accomplish, and they're all in front of you right now. And the reason we have that message on the board, because you know what they are. You absolutely know what they are. And then all you have to do is look at that one message and decide, let me use that and think about what is possible. Now, the reason we kept saying to you, we were urgent about getting you here and bringing more of you together, and we wish you would please share with others, get more to do, and we'll keep doing it, because what's happening now is that we need more of you to come to understand who you are and shine your essence. Because as we also said, that there was going to come a time where you would choose, and you're there now. Now, all of this is coming together, you see, because the thing that you're going to choose is what you came to the earth to do, that you've been afraid to do, that you've been holding back on. Because when you do that, you become empowered, you become a bright light, and you start to obscure the darkness. That's all. You start to, you illuminate it. That's what you do. But that only occurs when you decide to move into you. It's not about anyone else. It's just about you. I know it feels like that it's your family, your friends, your kids, your parents, whatever it is. It's all that stuff. No, it's you. You have this individual, singular evolutionary journey that coincides with your world and with everything around you, your family, your experiences, where you live, all of that. It's all connected. And then you just figure it out at steps along the way. We were trying to come up with a very good a visual for you all to kind of show this. It would probably make more sense because humans need to have things that you can see and put together. Otherwise, you don't believe it. That's why we have that message there. That's why we took Roger through all of these stages, not in this year. This has been his entire life. You see, because you've had this too. You've had things that you've kind of thought about or maybe tried to believe and weren't sure. Well, now you're going to be sure. You're becoming sure. You felt it. You felt this movement and all of that, but you're going to feel more of it because it's really important this time. This is the most enormous shift your world has experienced, and you decided to be here to experience it. We keep saying that one because it's hard for each of you to understand that because you've gone through things in your lives that have been difficult and challenging. Many of you, let's go here. Many of you have had these challenges and difficulties that you thought something must be really wrong with you, that you have gone through all this stuff. No, you did that intentionally. Now, I know that doesn't make sense, but you did it intentionally. And we're using Roger here because he has had some really horrible things that many of you would call him that were just where he didn't want to live. He wasn't going to be here for the next day. He knows that. But then he came to understand why it occurred. It was always because of his resistance. It was always because of him holding back. He can see that now. So we're saying this because we know that many of you in the places that you are now are not able to see that. You're not able to understand that. This is why we are in this place giving you that. Because Roger's evolutionary journey was the first part of his life was to work through all of this stuff. He accepted so much. He brought in such heavy burdens. And then as he worked through them, he started to understand, oh, they had purpose. They had meaning. And so if he could extract that meaning and give it to more of you, then your world starts to change, you see? Because each of you have had that little idea about how you were going to change the world. You were going to do something that was going to be so magnificent that you were going to change the world. That was true. That was true, but you meant to do it together, which is why we keep bringing together the groups. And as Roger said earlier, we had him find a video. It's always arbitrary. That's what you think. No, we directed that. It feels to him like, oh, he just stumbled upon that. He knows that did not occur. Now, we will say that earlier on in his development, he would think things were accidental as well. We're not, so we want you to understand that it took so long for him to start following the direction that we've given him and develop that trust. But we told him he needed to do that so that he could be here at this point, at this time, in this time trajectory of your world to help you accomplish your goal. Because we know why you're here. We know what you wanted to achieve. And it was always about your evolvement. And it's always about becoming more. And we know the difficulties that many of you have had. Now, there are two different camps that are here now. And we'll explain. There are some of you who have been so afraid because you've been way too sensitive. You've been really afraid of owning yourself, of speaking your truth, or whatever it might have been. But see, now it becomes important because your truth is so wonderful. Your truth is loving, it's benevolent. It has all of those things. You're empathic, and that was threatening to you before. It's a new world now. Your way of being will be accepted and applauded when you start to accept it and applaud it. It's got to come to you. This is what we've said to you in every talk. Our only intention is to get you to let go of your self-judgment, because all of you have had it. You've judged the things that have not worked in your life, that have gone wrong, their failures and all of that. That was your learning. That was your acquiring information. That was your acquiring knowledge, and now you're meant to use it. And your age has nothing to do with this. We've told you that. We gave you an example in our last outing of Dan Eldon, who
was killed in Somalia so long ago. But then we showed you how it all came back to this moment of last week, where he said, wait a minute, now it's time for all of you. You see, that's what's always going on. Your world evolves by the individuals who come into it and decide to become themselves. That's what it is. You decide to become yourself, and that's how your world changes. Now, big picture stuff again. You're not all doing the same thing. And this is the big part. This is where you are now in your world. There are some who are here who are trying to maintain a particular kind of control for the same reason you are. They're afraid of the unknown. That with everyone wanting to hold on to control, what do you have? You have conflict. You have contrast. And who's going to change that? You are. You are the people who decided that you would plop yourselves onto the earth at this time to be in the world here because you knew that your essence, if you were willing to own it, would start to change your world. And then, as we said many moons ago, the world that you desire is not guaranteed. But if you act now, it will be. Your moment of now is always in this, your point of power is always in this moment of now. It's always right here. Which means, and we really need so many of you here to get this one. We really need you to hear this. Your past does not determine your future unless you believe that's who you were. You are doing it all the time. You've had experiences that caused you to think less of yourselves, but you had to have those so you could know what more would be. And that's where you are now. But now it's just so much bigger. It's just so much bigger than what any of you can really fathom or imagine. And that's why we keep attempting to give this to you. We told you that we started allowing Roger to access some ancient memories. You each have them, but if it's not relevant for your evolutionary journey this time, you don't need to have that. And one other thing we want to tell you, we've made these, when we started doing these talks with Roger, the agreement that we had, because we had to come to it because it's part of his journey, it was that we are not connected to something else that you can't do yourselves. We know that many of you have watched people who have done channeling, who have done many other modalities such as this, and you think that it's set apart and that you had to go into some weirdness to be able to do this. You do not. It's a new day. It's a new world. You each have valuable communication that you access at times when you decide to meditate or be quiet or listen to yourselves. It's always there. You know that. You're here through voices. We gave you a wonderful message the other day, and those of you who have not read it, we would like for you to do that because we talked about the masterpiece, because that's what you each have now. And then we told Roger about the book. We told him we gave you the book, but then we played it out for several days to get here today because, see, he still hasn't done it. And we'll tell you this, we're going to relate this to you because it's your process. This is what you've done too. When we first told him that we gave him the book in 2012, he goes, no, that couldn't be true. How could I have been given something? That's not possible. And so he said, I'm not going to look at it. We told him, we watched this every day. And then the next day he'd go back. He couldn't go to bed yet. He had to go look at it again. You know how you've looked at your dream, you looked at that thing you started, thought maybe I'm going to do this. You just kind of look at it a little bit instead of deciding, yes, let me go there and let me just do this. No, we played it out. Today, he was with a friend and his friend said, why haven't you done that? Why haven't you done it yet? And we said through Roger, no, we're using it for an example today. See, because the people here, if we give them the example, they understand that this is what they've done. And they'll maybe if we tell them what we've done with Roger, maybe they won't judge themselves quite as much, maybe. That's what we're saying. And so then last night we let him back and read a little bit more. And every message that he saw, he goes, wait a minute, maybe they were right. Maybe they did give me this. he will go and do it because we're not going to let go of it. Just like we're not going to let go of what we're saying to you. And just as like your higher self, your guides, your spirits are not going to let go of that thing within you that you know you are meant to do. You know you are meant to do that. You felt it. And so the belief is what you were lacking. We come to help foster that belief because we know we've taken Roger through 70 years that we've told you of doubt. That's what's happened to get here today, to show you each that you're on this, you have this divine plan, as we showed you several weeks ago. You have this plan that's all unfolding right now. And many of you are starting to see this. You've started to notice things changing. You're seeing things that you've never seen before, that have never been in your awareness. And that's what is occurring right now. So, and then we told Roger, we gave you the title. We gave him the title of the book, and we called it Your Life Operating Instructions. We thought that's a really great title for a book. And he said, no, I could never do that. You see, because I wouldn't believe that. No one would believe that. That's what he said to us. No one would believe that, especially me. See, you guys felt that because that's what you've done. You thought you could not have been the person to create this brilliant thing, and you are. Each of you, we've said you have as much power as anyone who has ever walked the earth. Each of you, there's no difference. When you were born, you have equal power, each of you, because we told you where it came from. It's your thoughts. The energy of your thoughts is what's creating your life, and it's creating your world. But if you're not conscious of that, you can't utilize it. You can't do anything with it. And so we know, because we've been working on this with Roger forever, so we've got him to the place where he can do this now, because the resistance was so strong, just as it was within each of you. We said that there are no hierarchies of soul, and we're going to keep going through that because we need you to understand that. And then what we said, we gave you through something out this morning, which Roger didn't even know where we were going with this, but this is what it is. We said, now you will understand that old thing about the meek shall inherit the earth. And that's you. And what we mean by that is that each time, this is the big picture stuff again, and we said it last time, the only thing that survives is the love and the light. That's all that stays. Every iteration of your world, of your civilizations, if you think of them in that way, some of them have passed away because you didn't do that. We want to say that. Many of you know that if you've studied your history, there's some of your civilizations that did not survive. And you could be sitting in a place where that would occur again, unless you decide to become you. Yeah, we love putting the pressure on you because you need to have it, because it is true. We need more of you to awaken to who you are, because you came to do something different than a lot of the others. But you've done the other stuff too. That's why we keep talking about this big picture stuff, you see, because you each are filling out elements of yourselves, and what you're filling out is your potential. And you do that when you let go of your judgment. Now you do that individually and collectively. We have shown you how your world has changed over the civilizations, and each time it becomes a little more inclusive, doesn't it? It becomes a little more equal, not completely. You've never completed that, and you won't, because then you would be no place for you to evolve to. But you're in a greater period of evolution right now, and we're just trying to get each of you to appreciate the enormity of what you decided to do by being here and being a part of this. And there are many other people, and you know that are not aware of this, but you are. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be listening to us unless there was an element within you, your higher self, that said, we want you to hear this now, because we really want you to have the life that you knew you could have, that you could manifest. And this is the perfect time, because there's a lot of energy going on right now that if you collect it and use it in the proper way, you will do that. You'll absolutely accomplish it. But it does require more of you, as we said earlier, more of you to awaken to who you are. So the shift of the world goes in the direction that you envisioned, that you dreamed of, because you know the world that you wanted to see. And everyone here wanted that world as well. You just did it in different ways. Now, there are others of you who are really angry. You are really angry right now because you're seeing what's going on and you're like, well, I got to change this. That's good. Because see, what that is doing now, it is awakening within you that dormant part, that loving, benevolent, empathetic part that you have not been able to get out. But now you have the ability, the resources, the energy available to do that. Everything that you are experiencing in your life, in your world, is because of what you are holding inside. Now, we're going really, really big here, but we want you to try. Some of you will accept a bit of this. Okay? So the divisions that you see in your world exist within you. They wouldn't be out in your world unless they existed within you. Every single person, each of you. There's no way that you would be here now unless that were not true. Because you wanted to bring them together. You wanted to heal certain parts of mend certain parts within you, the parts that you've denied, the parts that you've been afraid of, parts you didn't believe, and the parts that you've judged. Some of you are judging things that you have done in this life and you can't let go of it. And we're saying to you, we're saying this because we want you to understand this. We know it's been difficult for you to understand this, but the reason you haven't been able to let go of it is because you're working through some karmic junk, as we called it before, that has gone well before you were ever here. You have no memory of that, but that's made it challenging. However, if you start to accept that maybe that is what is occurring, you'll be easier on yourself. Yeah, there's a reason that you didn't get through it yet. See, because some of you are so impatient. You want it to happen so quickly, which is again why we used Roger's life as an example. This lifetime for him was this example for all of you. That's just the way that it is, because it served his purpose. He spent eons, we've said this before, we know many of you don't get that. He spent eons being afraid. That's why we had him write a book on fear. He spent eons not willing to speak and let us come through. That's why we're doing these talks. And he's done all of that so that it could be here today to offer you more belief in yourself. That's the only purpose. That is the only purpose. 2 years ago, we're going to give you another example because some of you are here and you're going to understand this. More than 2 years ago, we gave him the information. He said, your world is changing. We want you to look around that you've been a part of this in a different way. And then we talked about what you've done in your societies over centuries, over all the generations. We said, now look at what happened more than a year ago, more than 100 years ago. Women. We said, oh, look at what's happened. You've brought women forth now. You didn't do that before. And we're talking well before what you could possibly imagine. We're not talking about just even when you had women's voting rights in the United States. It's well beyond that, but we'll use that as a reference point. But because you can see in this lifetime, but you can, and then it changed. Every generation, you accept more. And it looks like you're accepting the other people, like you accepted women, but it's you. You think that if you put women down that you would feel more whole. No, that never worked. And it's never worked throughout your civilizations, which is why it's continually changing now. And then we said to Roger, and then look at the races. See, because you've each put yourselves into situations racially and ethnically where you would see those differences and where you kept people down. So I said, we told him, you have what's going to make the biggest difference, we told him, are Black women. Think about that. The most marginalized, the most left behind. See, men, even black men had, they had it horrible, but they didn't even have that extra burden of being a woman. But now you each start to shift that when you understand that you are the ones who have marginalized everyone out there because you have marginalized yourselves. That's the point that we want each of you to come to. When you start understanding the magnificence that is within you and you start to embrace it, things will shift and change in your world, in your life and in the world, because they're the same. That's what will occur. And each of you here now, you know that. This is why you feel it as we say it. And your roles are very different. They're very different. And they're the same. We really need you to get that, because you've judged your life process as being something outside of the box, strange, odd, all of that. Roger did that, but it's not. It is not. You're understanding it more now. You set up things in your life to move through so that you could become empowered people. And if you do that, your world becomes different. It's just that you have difficulty accepting your importance, which is why we're going to keep talking about it until you get it. And we thought that if we showed you all these bizarre happenings that had made no sense, even in Roger's life, that maybe you would think some of those coincidences in your life were happening for a reason, because they are. There are no coincidences, there's no accidents, nothing's happening randomly. It's just that you figure it out later. It comes to your awareness. That's why we love using hindsight. You see, you can look back and see the things that occurred, and then you say, oh, now I understand why that happened. But you did that. We need each of you to understand how powerful you are in directing your life experience, which again is why we have that on the board. You each have that ability, but you're not using it. We have many messages. We want you to, if you take the time, go to Any Advice for Today and look for focused attention, because that's what we would like each of you to start to utilize a lot more now. And focused attention means that you're going to take what that message that we have on the screen and use your focused attention to think about what is possible, rather than immediately going into what is horrible and what's going to fall apart. Because whatever you decide, you're going to create. Whatever you decide in this moment, you will start to create. But then if you understand that if you let go of that and go to, let me just blindly trust in what's going on in myself. And sometimes it requires that, because again, you don't accept that you could possibly be the people, the individual who could make a huge difference, and you are. But we will say again, we know that it's easier if you bring it together. So we told Roger about the Black women, and then the other night, few nights ago, he stumbled upon something that we had him put away. We do this all the time. He throws things away. He hides things. You do that too. You hide things from yourself. Maybe if I don't see it again, I won't have to do it. It never works. That's why we said you'll never get out of this alive. So we had him see this one video that he recording of these Black women. And then we said, we told you, you could do something. They could do something. He thought it was about 2 years ago. We said, no, it's now. And so then we had him put together. He called these people, said, let's put you together. Let's see what you can do. And then another one showed up, and they looked at it and said, that's accidental that this other person would just show up. No, they showed up because you decided to become yourself. You decided to own who you are. And people want to see that. People want to know that. When they know what you can accomplish by moving through what you set up, they will do the same thing. Are you getting this? You see how the world starts to evolve? But it becomes those who are willing to step out of their constrictions, because you all have them. You would have to. There's no reason that you would be here. There is, we gave you another wonderful example, which we want to give to all of you, because many of you have had this belief too. You believe that your physical things is what makes you important or valuable in the world. And that's has nothing to do with it. You may use those things to put your value out there and have more people see it. You can do that. But sometimes you're using all your physical things as a way to bolster your ego, which is never what you wanted to do. So we had him see one person he hadn't seen in a long time, person really successful. They have the money, all the stuff that you want. And then during this period, they said, I don't know what's happening. I don't want to do that old thing that I did that brought me all the money. You see, Roger did that too. Some of you might do that, but it's a little scary. But they said, I want to do this new thing. And we explained to them why that was occurring. This was the time in their evolutionary journey where they were supposed to see this and make that shift. And sometimes making that shift is really frightening because, again, you want to stay in the womb. We've given you that example a long time ago. When you were born, you had the safety of the mother's womb for quite a while. Then you came out into the world and said, no, this is too scary. And then the way that you might have adjusted to that, you've been doing it throughout your lives. And you've seen it. You've seen the kids who hang on to the parents like that. And then there are others who would just say, no, stay away from me. I'm going to go and do my own thing. They're different. You're all different. But whatever your path was is one that you chose to use to become empowered. It was never to punish you. It was never to hold you down. And you're going to start understanding that now. We're saying this with such assuredness because we know it's going to happen. And we know because it's already happened. Many of you have told us already. You've seen it. You've seen your lives changing. You're seeing all these things coming about that you did not believe before, even while others around you are going a little bit crazy. You've seen that too, because you have a deep knowing that you're not sure where it comes from, but you know that it's there. And all we're doing is giving you more confirmation so that you would believe it more. And we say more. We keep doing that because you become impatient and you think that you hear something and it's put into place. No, it's not. That's why we gave you the example of Roger not going with what we told him to do just this past week. You've done that. And now is the time to move beyond it. He knows he's going to do it now because he was very clear that we wanted him to wait so he could just give you this wonderful story. Because that's how you learn things as well. And so we're saying that because each of you have valuable stories and ones that you're afraid of. You're afraid to tell people how you had this gift that you hid away. You're afraid to tell people that you doubted yourself. You're afraid to say that you've had mental problems that have kept you depressed forever. And the minute you let go of the fear, you will get the value of why you had the experience, because you had the experience for a reason. It was for you to evolve. That's all. And that is occurring now in such a huge, huge, huge way for all of you. And you have no idea how happy we are that you're here. Because what we know, because it's already happened, you've already affected the world. You know that. You've already done that just by being here and just by putting this energy into the world that we've done over the last few months. It's just shifted the trajectory of your world. It has. And you'll start to see it. And you will start to see it in rapid succession in the coming weeks, which is why we need you to understand what is occurring so that you decide to go inside and hold on to your essence of knowing that things are working in the correct way for you and for the world. That's where we want you to stay. There are others of you, oddly, who have felt you had it too easy. That maybe you didn't suffer enough to be valuable. Oh, wow, that's ridiculous. You've done that already, you see. You did that somewhere else. You did that in another part of your evolutionary journey. So now you're here to just be that person who didn't go through a lot of stuff and demonstrate that it's possible. But each of you will withhold some of your story, and your story is the most valuable thing that you have. If it holds no judgment, no self-judgment. See, when you can own it, then you have accomplished something because you've worked through some of your self-imposed limitation, because anything that you're afraid of in your life or that you're withholding is a self-imposed limitation. You won't work through them. You won't move through them instantly or maybe ever in this particular life, but you will eventually. It's the only way you can evolve. Your evolvement is going to always occur. You're always ascending to a new place within you. You may not do it all in this physical body. Many don't. We don't think that's many of you here, but many people don't. Because they say, okay, I'll get it next time. That next life, let me figure it, let me work out, get it worked out then. But no, right now, you can do this. The reason we gave you the dates using Roger is because we want you to relate them to you, to your life. The very first message that we did with you, the session that we did with you, we showed you one message from 1989. There was something in there that was very important for each of you. And we need you to understand this because now it's where it's important. We're doing this because we want you to see that your chronological age, time, none of that means anything. It's about when you're willing to understand it. In 1989, we told him his conflict. In 1989, we told him his conflict. We're saying that again because we want you to hear it. Because each of you have judged yourself because you haven't done something or gotten there yet. You are. You're doing it now because this is when you were meant to do it. And so we said, you have this fear of thinking that if you unleashed your power, that you would do something that would really harm people. Now, those of you who know Roger, you know how ridiculous that is, right? But this is what he lived with, and it was perfect because he held himself back because of that fear. I'm going to hurt people if I become powerful. That was never true. And then he also knew, we're not making this up. We have the proof. He wrote it down. Because then he had this other side, this intellectual knowledge, which you each have. You each know this, and you'll get this. You know what you could do, and then you're choosing not to do it. You're choosing to just stay there. He was quite aware of that. And then we said, we're going to use all of these years of your life to work through all of that stuff. We're going to work through all of it to get you here today. That's exactly what's happened. And that's what's happening for you. That's why we wanted you to understand the story and the time trajectory. It's different for you, but it's the same. Meaning that you have a path that you are on, that incidents will come into your life, and then you will decide whether or not you're going to choose to understand them then, if it's right. But you always come to understand them eventually. But they happen at different times. And we're saying this because there's still some of you who have judged yourself because you think you should have completed everything by now for some reason. And that's because you've lost you don't have an essence or awareness of the eternal nature of your being. So that's a very normal human thing to do. And we just want you to understand that you're still in process of creating this magnificent being, which is you. That's all that's ever going on. You interpret certain things, and when we finally get Roger to publish this book, you're going to be so blown away with it, because all you have to do is study it every day and you will see everything shift in your life. Now, we're saying those words because this is the thing. He's like, no, that can't possibly be, but we know it is, and we're just going to keep guiding him to get it done, because we told him people need this now. Even though we gave it to you in 2012, it was supposed to be now. Now we gave you something else, and we want you to understand this, because when we send you the replay of this, we want you to pay attention to it, because we will attach that other video. And the video is for December 21st of this year. You see, we're tying all of this together. In the last session, you know that we had December 21st of 2012 on the screen. Because see, that was the time where everyone thought not everyone, but many different, everyone had a different idea of what they believed was happening in your world. Some thought it was going to end. Some thought all sorts of things were going to go wrong and people were in constant fear. And then it came and nothing happened. But you saw what we did. We gave you a message on that day that said, wait. We said, wait. Until now, you see, because this is the time each of you meant to hear this so that it will awaken to you, so you'll start to get on with doing what you're going to do. That's what's happening. We said, wait. And we said, when you understand the energy of the word wait, meaning that when you're waiting in patience, then you're going to manifest what you want. If you're waiting in fear and doubt and disbelief, yeah, you're going to get crap. That's just the way it is. So, but now we did that to show you that the time that it took to get to this place was perfect for you. That's why you're hearing this now. It's perfect for you to start to say, yes, I know I can do this now. If I do this and I have all the support around me, I have all these people who are helping me, I have all this collective energy, and now I can do this. That's each of you. And there's no way that you're not going to hear this moving forward, because we have given you these words. They're going to keep popping up in your consciousness, and fortunately, you will start to act on them this time. We know that will occur because it's not going to be possible for you to ignore yourself. You'll do it for a little bit. Sometimes you'll doubt. You'll go back into your depression. You'll do all of that, and then we'll have you remember what we told you just the other day. The state of depression is the denial of the self. Each of you hold as much power as any other being on the planet. We've told you there's no hierarchy of souls. And the reason, if you didn't understand this before, we use souls because we want you to understand it has nothing to do with your physical stuff. See, because that's what's been used throughout your civilizations. If people have more money and control and all that, then you think you're worthless. That is shifting. This entire big shift is changing. The dynamics are changing. And those of you who have suffered before with not having enough, you're going to have much more if you decide to own who you are. That's all it is. And we know that it takes time. We're going to continue to do talks because we've seen how they've been helpful, not only for you, but for Roger. See, because you're all doing things together. It's a collective time now. There's something else we must speak on. You have difficulties owning your beliefs and your ideas about things that are going on in your world. And each of you must come to the place of understanding that for yourself. And we put something up the other day that you will begin to understand. And we'll continue on with this because we're going to leave it now with you to ponder this. But we went on and we just arbitrarily had Roger write one statement. And that was, but just a little post. It was just really simple, but it's something for you to think about. Is your freedom worth more than my life? Is your freedom worth more than my life? And we're saying that because you're going to think about so many other things. And if you take it to your world and look at your history, you'll start to understand all of your wars. You'll understand them. And you'll also begin to understand why you're here now to make a difference. See, because each of you have been met with a lot of different conflict. And it's out there. The conflict is out there. And what you are meant to do now is to find that place within you where you can understand the conflict, own who you are, and only put the essence of your benevolent, loving self into the world. Because as we said, the meek shall inherit the earth. And the only thing that survives is love and the light. That's all. And so you get to choose. That's the choice we were talking about. and you're making it now. You've each come to that place within your own life that you're going to make that choice, and that choice will be the world that you will create collectively. But we're saying it's important that you start to do it now because we know what's coming if you don't. And we are just, again, so grateful that you are here, that you're listening, that you decided to show up. Because just that act in itself is going to start to continue this shift. We're saying you think the physical things that you do are more important. No, it's your collective energy that does it. That's why we told you about power. That's why we told you about the power of your thoughts, the energetic connection, the electromagnetic power your thoughts hold. And this is why we want you to go and read the messages on focused attention, because you will use it now, not only in your life, but that of the world, because they're the same. And you will begin to see that. We have more people here today. And so what we would like to do is open up for questions, because we know that there's some beaming right now that would like to ask, and you can unmute yourself and ask whatever you would like to know or any further clarification. Okay, no, come on, say it. I know there's someone who has this. Yes, yes.
So you said something along the way of accepting who you are.
Yes.
And what is it if when you're afraid of that, to become that? Because when you were that very little, you had parents who beat you down, not physically, but with their words, with their judgments. Mm-hmm. That didn't allow you to be that. And then you lost it along the way and you can't access it, although you have that knowing somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Because you want to do it now. That's all. You want to do it now. See, you set that up a long time ago. You even set up your parents. None of you believe this, but we'll do it again. We've given you messages before, and we actually created a process that we called it, and we put in Roger's program, how to have a happy childhood. You see, because most of you have these things that you have held yourself back because you were beaten as a child. You have these horrible things that occurred to you. You were poor. You did all those things. You set that up because that's the stuff that you wanted to heal now. That's the stuff you wanted to bring together and bring something new into the world. That's why you placed yourself there. You should be so proud of yourself because, see, you accepted something that was so big. That's why it feels so enormous now. And as you begin to say, all right, let me look at this in a new way. Listen, we've had many people argue with us about this, but we keep going through it. But if you ask yourself the question, why did I create it? Why did I set this up? Why did I ask for this? You will receive the answer because each of you did that. We told you earlier, more of you here have accepted enormous roles and we're so happy, but you did that because you meant to move through it and expand in your evolutionary journey, and that's going to help the world. Each of you are doing that. We must say this, you have formed beliefs about yourselves that do not leave instantly, okay? We're saying this because that's why we used Roger's example. We wanted you to see how long it took him to move through these things that he had carried, because we said there were heavy ones, there were big ones. You are doing the same thing. But once you start to say, oh, wait a minute, I did this for a reason, and now it's going to help me evolve if I am willing to embrace it. If I'm willing to say, did I accept this and there was something for me to gain from it? It's a completely different energy than I was just tortured. None of you were punished. None of you. We know it felt like, some of it's felt that way. We know. But now it's going to shift. It's going to change. And collectively, this is why we're doing these talks. And we've told you, we told you we're going to make these fun too, because As we want you to laugh at yourselves a little bit more because you've been too hard on yourselves. But on the last session, Roger thought he was going to stop, you see, like you thought that. And we said no. And then what happened at the end of the last session, all you lovely people came on and said these wonderful things. And so Roger said, I guess I got to keep going. You see, that's what each of you will do when you get out of your way. When you start accepting what you're being called to do and stop being afraid, you will see that's what will occur. Your healing will be affected by you owning yourself. We have more. That was for so many people. We're so grateful for that one. Do we have more though?
How can you reaccess yourself when you forgot who you are, when you said own yourself?
In every moment, it's a process. It's just a process. As we said, now you place more pressure on Roger to give you the book, so he'll get it done. But it's in every moment. You have mindfulness. We want you all to begin using your mindfulness, because if you start, it'll take a while because you've been used to blocking yourselves. You've been sticking your head in the sand, so to speak, and now you have to learn how to be willing to look. So in every moment, you know when you're saying something to yourself that is disempowering, that's a judgment, that is telling you you're not capable, or that you're insignificant. Any of those, you know that. And so we want you to notice when you're doing it. So awareness, that's mindfulness. So the awareness first, this mindfulness, we say, oh, I'm having that thought. Okay, I don't want that one. I'm gonna just shift to here now. And you can do that. Just do it whenever they come up. Some of them have become so habitual for you, however, that you won't even notice that you're doing it sometimes. That's why we're saying, be mindful. And then you will begin to change. But it's a process. None of you change quickly. So please do not judge yourselves. We're going to go back to this because we've given you this in the last several sessions. You're all looking for that authenticity. We have to use that because it's such a great buzzword for your society today. So this authenticity, and authenticity, as we've told you, which is the most powerful thing any of you could use and have, is a lack of self-judgment. It's going to take a while for you to understand that, you see, because you've judged things about your life and your experiences as being bad, wrong, and all of that. They are never that. So you've trained yourself to believe that for so long. So your neural pathways, as we understand your brain chemistry now, have told you something different. And so it's a process of reimagining who you are, retraining you to think about your life and yourself differently. That's what you're all doing. And you're doing it in a big way. As we've said, this is the biggest, the most significant lifetime you've lived. So yes, it would be a heavy for a lot of you.
Yeah, I wanted to say there'll be signs that you're going the right way, your body or something external. And sometimes it'll be little tiny things, and sometimes it'll be massive things. And for me, like, I get feelings about things and I never paid any attention. And one that really stands out for me is one day I had a dream about a turtle being stuck in a fence, and I thought, that's just stupid. A few days later, I found a dead turtle stuck in the fence. And it's like, I didn't trust that message, but that was for me like a catalyst to start paying attention to what I was feeling, even though it was completely outside my experience of what was previously real.
We called them glimpses, and you will go back. We're so happy you brought this up, because you could probably find this throughout our writings. We said you will have glimpses of things that pop into your experience, and those glimpses are reminders and they're confirmation. That's all. You call them coincidences or synchronicities or all these different things, which, so you can relate to them in human terms. However, they're reminders from your higher self. They're confirmation that yes, you're going in the right path. Even the people that you meet, many of you have done this recently. You've met people that have come into your experience. You go, wow, how did you come here? How did I find you? It's because you're being guided there. And to see that you were not on an accidental path. You are not having an accidental life, each of you. And more of you will, because we've spoken these words, now you will start to notice that. And we said to you in some of the other sessions, we said that you would have synchronicities that would begin to show up in such rapid succession that it would be difficult for you not to notice them. And that's what's happening for many of you. But we want you to stay pretty grounded in all of this because it can be a little overwhelming. One of the things collectively, it's accelerating right now, which is why your lives feel a little chaotic. Your world is accelerating its change. But that is for you to accelerate your change. That's why.
How do you go about not feeling lonely when you are getting or becoming more enlightened about different truths, and you don't have anybody to talk to in your environment because everybody is basically stuck on what the Bible is supposed to say and everything that has been conditioned throughout their lives. And you try to tell them that there's more to life than that. There's more to spirituality than that.
We are so pleased that you brought this up because you were placed in this, each of you who have felt that, many of you here have felt that you're just in these weird places, nobody gets you and understands you. And that's so perfect because you were placed there to help them. You were placed there, you placed yourself there. No one else did it but you. You placed yourself there so that you could witness these people you can see that are not aware and awakened to who they are, and you're becoming that. And so now your mission that you set for yourself is, how can I figure out a way to demonstrate who I am in a way that they will receive it? Because see, if I try to tell them what to believe, they're not going to get that. I can't do that, but I can demonstrate it in a way. And the way that I'm going to demonstrate it is by deciding to love myself, is by deciding to stop judging who I am and understanding that I'm seeing things now that look new because it was the time that I was meant to see them. And as I start to accept them and gently move into them, then the effect that I wanted to create in my life and the world will start to manifest. We're so happy that you brought that up because this is what we meant. You're going to see so many in your world that you're going to want to smack into place somehow. You're going to want to make them wake up to get to know who they are and to change. And that's not going to work. That's why I told you, Olive Rogers didn't work for him. He had to come to it when he was ready. And then he saw every example that gave him the courage to be able to do that, because that's what you each are gaining now. It's the courage to be yourselves. That's all you're ever doing. And so now at this point, though, more of you have to understand that what you're going to see are more people acting out and not behaving in the way that you would like for them to be. And that's only to encourage you to find the highest part of you and bring that forth in the world, because that's what's going to cause the evolution. And that is the legacy that you will leave for generations to come.
Yeah, I'd like to just say, Darlene, you can reach out and find other people, because you'll be having an example to people, but you're also going to reach out and find different people who are in the same place that you are. And that is so incredibly empowering. So I just want to say you're not alone.
We are pleased that you brought that up because she's already done that. She just did it.
So Roger knows my life story, and I've done the impossible possible in my life story. And Roger also knows the challenge right now. And what my life story not scare me at all, but this, what looks like a small and very temporary challenge, scares. I'm terrified of it.
Mhm. You said some wonderful things. You said wonderful things. A temporary challenge. And we want each of you to get that. It's a temporary challenge. We have a string of you that we could give you from Roger's life, but it would take too long, you see. We'd be here for hours. And we want to say that because we need each of you to understand that, because if you accept that it's impossible to do anything, then that will be the case. And miracles can happen in an instant. In an instant, it can happen if you decide to believe that that is possible. A long time ago, when Roger first started giving talks, he came across a reading of Napoleon Hill, a speech from Napoleon Hill. And Napoleon Hill was given a dictionary, and for a thank you for something he had done. And he said, okay, this is great, thank you so much, but I can only accept this dictionary if you remove the word impossible from it. Because we don't want to put that in our consciousness. We don't want to have that there. And we're saying that because now you each are here at this pivotal moment and looking at that post, because you have to do that in your lives, and so that it's reflected in the world. It's important at this time. So the stuff that you've laid on yourselves about how horrible you've not moved, you've not changed, you've not done, none of that matters. That was yesterday. Today is new. Today is new. And every moment that you decide to change your mind, you're going to change your life and you're going to change the world. And it's in every moment.
I'm starting to see that now, that things that I had felt, the good things that in my life that I felt had been handed to me that I hadn't worked for, actually, I put myself in that place and I had worked for it, just in a different way.
Yes.
But I didn't realize that until just now.
Oh, thank you for that. This is what we wanted you to see, that you're unique and the same. You see, you've come from different experiences and different backgrounds, but you got plopped here now at this time, this critical time in your world's development, to just own your essence in whatever form it came through. Because we will say, we know that all of you here have these parts of you, the benevolent, loving, giving parts of you that have always been there, and now they're more valuable, which is why we want to bring this up, because we don't believe this person has been here, but they will hopefully see this. But some of you have been, as we said, too sensitive. But that's been it's because, again, it's been a denial of who you are, not being willing to own who you are. But this lifetime is giving you that opportunity, you see, and it's important now. So the assumptions that you make, as was just stated, that's why we brought up earlier that some of you who didn't think you suffered, you have. You just did it before, you see. You just don't remember. But now you're here to demonstrate what you gained from what you don't even know you did. But you're demonstrating a new way of being prosperous, of being loving, of being all of those, because you worked through that. That's why we said some of you think that you haven't suffered enough to be worthy now, and that's never true. Some other time you did. Do we have more?
Yes. I don't know how to describe this, but this week I had two things kind of happen simultaneously, and both of them were came in a form that was welcome and I could receive. One was, I had an insight from one of my little dolls that I keep on my porch, And I realized I was having a wonderful day with the doll, and that I wasn't allowed that as a child, and that I didn't know who had said no. Um, and then I started thinking about, well, I wasn't allowed to have G.I. Joe dolls either because I was a boy.
Mhm.
And then as I went inside and turned on my radio or my stream, the song was rapping about males.
Mhm.
And the next line that came up almost instantly after it started was, "Hey, G.I. Joe." And I went, okay,
Mhm.
this is something I need to accept. And
No,
then, yeah, wait, one more thing. The thing was going along with it was I've been trying to deepen my concentration by doing what Roger first described as stabilizing your mind in the morning. And I reconnected with my father, who I didn't know, but he was my coach. And the analogy of standing in the box, not thinking outside the box when you're at bat, that your stance is solid, you're facing forward, and you're ready for whatever is thrown at you.
you said the most important thing when you began. And we gave you this message the other day. And we said to each of you, you feared being happy. Now that may
Amen.
sound crazy to you, but it's true.
Oh.
You had a memory of being happy. You saw, and you said, and someone talked you out of it, you see? What was there was that you had a memory of being happy. And then most of you have talked yourself out of understanding the importance of being happy. See, because you have built-in guidance. You were given things to tell you where to go. And a lot of those are your feelings. And those feelings that cause you to feel happy, it says, yes, that's what you should do. But because of this division that's gone on within you, you've thought that you couldn't possibly be worthy to be happy. You couldn't make enough money if you decided to do things that would make you happy. You've made up everything about that, when in fact, being happy would be the guidepost to take you to where you're supposed to be. That's all.
Well, I
Thank
have
you.
something to say. Sorry. I met a person this weekend who I connected with just because of COVID. And I finally met him on the weekend, and he's a doctor. And he's an inadvertent doctor. He never wanted to be what he turned out to be. He just happened to always be in the right place at the right time when things happened despite him. Anyway, we were discussing some medical stuff because I'm a geek, and he had a teacher who's now long gone. And I'm saying this because I want you to understand that there's things that we get from people, and she's long gone. And his teacher was a very great doctor here in the Philippines, and she told him, whenever you look at a problem, remember, you don't have to think in the box or outside the box. Just get rid of the box. Get rid of the box.
Yes.
And that's I just got goosebumps saying that.
Yes.
And that this is a message who's come from a lady who's gone many years ago to someone who never meant to be where he is, who I understand will probably now be pivotal in my life. He said, get rid of the box. That's it.
Yeah. Thank you so much. This has been, well, it's been the difficulty for many of you because you've let's go back. First of all, you come into the world and you have to learn. Okay, you have to learn how to operate in terms of human terms. You just have to do that. And then, but sometimes you take it too far. You think that what you learned is where you were supposed to stay instead of remembering that you came to evolve. So you were supposed to take all the information, everything that came before, because there's wisdom and knowledge that all those who have come have developed, and it's here now. And then what you do is you take and you examine it, and then you put your essence into it, and you'll say, oh, wait a minute, I got something more from that. Now I'm going to develop that, and I'm going to put that out into the world. You see, that's evolution again. And you will pick up these things along the way. However, sometimes what happens is you think somebody else has all of that stuff because you learned it from them. and you think they haven't. No, they were just leading you there, leading you to your own knowing, leading you to your own wisdom. That's all that ever happens. We gave you a message a while ago. We said all those people that you followed, you've taken courses and all of that, and listened to leaders and influencers and gurus. You were listening to them only so that you would remember who you were, not to be them. They didn't have anything more than you. This is why we brought up Jesus last time. He tried to tell you that and you still don't get it. You see? It wasn't that he was the only one, none of the leaders. No, they all know that. And they continually try to tell all humans, you have what we have. We're just trying to demonstrate it. That's all. But you get more of it. You get more of it each time. There are some of you who have been holding back your gifts a little bit, but we want to say this because we know you're doing it and you're still doing it. But don't, it's okay. Right now, be gentle with yourselves. We have to say this because some of you have come to the awareness of what you've been doing, and then you will discount that by going back to judging yourself. And that was not our intent. Our intent, but telling the entire story, was using Roger's life and his resistance, his holding back, to show you that sometimes, depending on your evolutionary path, sometimes you will do that. But if you start judging yourself for doing it, guess what? You've made yourself a person who can't move beyond it. We only want you to become aware. And when the timing is right, when you're willing, you will move into it. But if you judge yourself along the way, it's going to make it a little more challenging.
In the message that is on the screen, it says, believe in what is possible.
Yes.
The short answer is everything is possible. So
Yes.
how do you differentiate between everything is possible along the spectrum from very good to very bad to everything is a possibility? But I suppose the message is meant to what is possible, what you want. How is that meant? Could you maybe go deeper into this?
Yes. As we've said, you're each born with unlimited ability, and it's equal to everyone else. And each of you, this is the part that's difficult in every lifetime you've lived. You've not accepted this, but each of you holds within you the power to change the world. Each of you. But that's nothing you're going to accept or believe. So that's why you keep going through lifetimes. That's why you keep evolving individually and collectively. But it is not that you do not have it. So everything is possible. But it becomes impossible when you believe that. And in every lifetime, you will accept a bit more. You accept some. Let's keep you in this life. In this life, you can each look at what you have done moving along. You can see how at certain points you understood things about yourself, and then something changed and you got more information, you changed again. Then you went into work or careers and then you changed again. All of that happened. You've done that throughout eternity as well. This is just a particular snapshot. This is a particular lifetime that you've chosen, which is a huge one. But this is just one that you've chosen. And every time you move beyond the impossible, you see, every time you move beyond what you thought was impossible. We've used before analogies from your technology, for instance, because it's better if you have a visual. If you can look back, you can see that your world looks nothing like it did 100, 200 years ago, because you have evolved, and this is how you did it. Every time, and that's what you're doing now.
I felt as a child that I knew that I could change the world.
Yes.
And then as I grew up, I kind of had it be out of me.
Yes. Yes.
And every time I felt like I was on the brink of something,
yes,
I allowed something to stop it from happening.
Yes. You each have had that. Now, thank you so much. Thank you for saying that, because you've each had that. You've had it somewhere. Maybe it's a little fleeting thought, but you've each had it. But you thought, no, I can't do that. It couldn't be me. And now you see where you put in the impossible, you see, because it is possible you could do that. But we will say that none of you, because you've had it beaten out of you for a long time, that belief that you could do those things, all of you. So, but it's okay. So now you're seeing that this particular age, you were meant to fortify that belief, to remember it, and you're going to fortify it with all others, because that's what needs to happen. That's what is occurring in your world. More of you coming together in unity with the intention of creating the world that you want to see. And that happens when you decide to use your focused attention to do it. Each of you, that's what's happening. And again, we are so pleased that you have taken this mantle. We're so pleased that you've decided to do this, because now more will be done. More will be done in your lives, and more will be done in the world because of what you have done just today. Just today. What we'd like to do, we are complete today, yeah, but we will do more. We will we'll have Roger figure this out, and we'll give it to you later. But what we would like to do is this. This is going to be the most important thing that we can do now. When Roger receives this replay, we want him to send it to you, and we want him to send that video that we had him see earlier today, just before we came on, because when you put these together, it's going to have an awareness for each of you that you're never going to forget. And that's why we're doing it. And we love doing that because it's so much fun when it happens, because we know how surprised you'll be. And then you'll be that much more encouraged to be you. And that's all that we care about. We thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Hello all. Hi.
Hi.
90
Hello.
minutes. 90 minutes.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, really.
Oh, this.
Time and a half.
That's, wow, that's still so surprising. It felt like 5 minutes ago, but anyway, so, wow.
You're becoming nonlinear, Roger.
Yeah, that was, this was wonderful. Thank you so much. And what I'm going to do, like I said, is I'm going to yeah, you're supposed to listen to this video. I'm going to send it when I put it all together. I'll get the replay and I'll send it to you, and I'll attach that video, because it was the perfection of that will not be missed on you, on any of you, when we put this all together. And then we will continue on. We will do more. So thank you all so much for being here. All right, I'll see you soon.
Bye.
Namaste.
Thank you.